Right, so my name is Kosala Jayasekara and I'm from Sri Lanka. So I came 2 days ago. This is my first time in Italy. I'm excited to be here today. And I was into doing workshop formats, little like long format. And this year I started to doing sort of a short form. And what happened? Hold. Right. Sort of a short form presentations. And so my topic is today about preparing or making new iOS 26 design and bringing that glass effects to your applications. By the way, before I start, I just wanted to know, have you ever update to the iOS 26 your applications yet? All right, great. Okay, and do you like the glass designs, new liquid glass designs? Okay, okay. All right, some of you might like it, some of you might hate it, but you know what? Apple is Apple, but they continues to transform in this one. By the time I'm delivering this speech, iOS 26.1 release candidate also released. And that's a little bit tweak some of the things in iOS 26. And this is sort of like the new design paradigm. So we haven't seen this kind of like major jump from iOS 7 back in the days. So Apple took the glass and their characteristic like transparency and also light reflections and also the liquid and its fluidity and characteristic like acousticity and velocity. And they combine these materials together and they call it liquid glass. So this one basically use sort of a unified design across the Apple platforms, not only the iPhone, iOS, it's also applicable to the other platforms as well. And these things has like more dynamic and fluid experience once you implement it to your applications. But these things might have some sort of a key factors you need to understand and you need to implement before you convert your applications to the iOS 26. So remember the back in the days, we use iOS 6 and that 3D styles, sort of 3D styles, not the liquid glass, some sort of like the 3D kind of icons, and to the flat designs. Some people actually hate it, and some people love it. And Apple continues evolving that until iOS 18. And now, with iOS 26, we have this glass morphism design. So these are the key factors we need to understand, but to convert your applications, you need to do like very little effort. All you have to do is run your existing project on iOS 26, on Xcode 26. That's it, right? Yeah. So, yeah, it's my presentation is that, right? Okay. No, there's some of the things we need to understand. So the key factor is, if your applications contain the native system controllers, yes, of course, it will automatically give that glass effect. But most of our applications, especially in my context, so we have to develop some sort of applications to client requirement. So clients are come up with like different ideas, not like a product. So the clients' projects, they are come up with like different context. At that time, we need to build some custom component. So if your applications contain custom controllers, once you compile using iOS Xcode 26, it might not look as intended to be. So what happened is you need to manually audit every screen and every component, and you need to convert it into the iOS 26 liquid glass. But if you have like some sort of a issue with that, Apple gave you a temporary key that's called like UI design require compatibility. Once you set it up this key to true, it won't convert your existing applications to the iOS 26 design. So that's really important, because if you have like multiple custom component in your applications, make sure to use this key and stop converting automatically and do it one by one in manual. But make sure this key is temporary, which will be expire, which will be not available in iOS future version, which is like iOS 27. So this is gave you Apple to migrate your existing applications to the new liquid glass design. So that's the main thing. So if you not set it all, if you remove this key to false, it will automatically convert everything to the design. So remember, so Apple, in even the Apple documentation says this for the temporary updations or the migration process. Also, every time try to use system native component. So this time we have a couple of different system native component modifiers, especially if you have buttons. Buttons has two different modifiers called glass and the glass prominence. So in future slides, I'm going to talk about how we are going to use these based on your context. Especially in the sliders has now slider tick content, so you can use the slide tick content as well. And also the toggles, sheets, and all those stuff natively converted to the glass. But the thing is, like, when this kind of a new design paradigm comes, most of the developers are really excited. They convert everything into the glass. So that's the main thing I just wanted to focus in these presentations. If you're converting everything into the glass, it will be looks really horrible, right? To be honest, like, so you need to find out which part you need to convert into the glass. Do not use glass overuse in your application. All right. So there are a couple of things you need to understand, like how these things render. So it's real-time rendering and like the giving some sort of like dynamic physics, and especially the lensing effects, and it's bend through the lights and use the concentrate the lights as well. So especially a component like switches and toggles, and also the sheets. And adaptive transparency based on content, and especially when it's come to the content, the main focus of this iOS 26 is giving more spaces to content. So your content has to shine through these glass effects. So that's the main thing. And especially the component like buttons, it's giving you like gel kind of a effect and giving more additional user experience. And especially it's used some highlights and depth shadows as well. So these are the main design principles you need to understand. Basically, focus your content. Do not put glass on the content. That's the main thing. So if you have like the more vibrant content, use carefully, and you need to pick where you need to put the glasses. And keep the layer architecture always, like manage your architectures where their content are laying off. So especially keep the content underneath and put the controllers on top of that one. So then only your content will shine through the glass effects. Otherwise, it will be cluttered. And this time, Apple gives us a new API for the concentric designs, especially instead of using hard-coded round shapes, the rounded rectangle with the hard-coded corners. You can use concentric design, which I'm going to do it in next couple of slides. And it has sort of like the adaptive behavior. So do not forget about the people who wants to use this your application in different environment, right? Especially in maybe dark mode, maybe light mode, maybe the accessibility settings enable. So make sure to use this adaptive behavior. And for the animations kind of things, you can use dynamic morphing. So that's giving you extra room for your content and your component to shine. And let's see when to use the liquid glass. Especially for if you use native system component like navigation bars, yes, of course, you can use glass effects. So that will make your applications, your user feel your application is up to date in the iOS 26. That's really important. So use navigation bars and tab bars, and also floating buttons. But floating buttons are little bit odd if you are using your application most of the places. It will looks like your applications port from the other operating system, right? So like the other operating system has this floating buttons over a lot of times, but most of the iOS application does not contain the floating buttons, right? So use carefully when you're using floating action buttons, because your other side of people might discriminate your application, right? And also the toolbar and sidebar, especially if you are using navigation split views, and especially your applications not only support iOS, it will work on the macOS as well. So then you can get the most out of this sidebar and the tools bar. That's really important. And also the share sheet, alerts. Alerts got new updates as well, and the models as well. So these are the more component you can use the liquid glass, but make sure not to use liquid glass on your main content layer. Because I've seen some of the applications, some of the developers change everything into liquid glass, right? So then your applications won't display as it's intended to display. And sometimes you put glass on another glass. Make sure avoid that. If your applications might convert it automatically, sometimes it's look like this, because some of the underneath layers will automatically display with the top of content, right? So make sure to manually refactor those things and remove that part. Let's see what's new with the tab bars and controllers. In tab bar, there's a new tab bar operations with we call tab bar roles. So right now, Apple gives us only one roles. It's called like search, and it's giving you like dedicated searching tab to your application. And scrolling with the tab bars, it's giving you like maximum content by shrinking down the tab controllers and giving more room to your content to breathe. So that's you can use whenever your application has more tab controllers and your content wanted to give more space, so you can use tab bar scrolling modifiers. And it has like adaptive layout, especially your tab controllers moving to the sidebar depending on where it's run on. And also, you might have seen Apple Music applications, the new update. So Apple gave us new tab view bottom accessory modifier. You can put your content in between the tab view, like Apple Music Player, like the minimized version of this one. So you can use that. And also, you can use the tab bar shrink behavior and the liquid glass magnifying effects when you use the tab bars. So let's see how it's work in the practical example. So when we use the tab search, it will give you a dedicated search control like this. So this is like the morphing example, and if you have like the tab. But some people might really not like this one, especially if you have, because Apple also know about that things. After you update, as soon as your device to iOS 26, Apple in your phone application has this kind of a dedicated search area. But Apple gives options to turn off. Have you seen that one? In your call application, it has like this kind of a dedicated search. And also, Apple gave options to turn it off. Because like some people not really like the new layout system, right? Because it will take some time people to adapt. That's why Apple also keep doing engineering on the liquid glass and this new layout system, right? So having dedicated search is good for some context, especially your application has more focus on the searching component and the searching areas. Next. So tab bar has another options called like tab bar minimize behaviors. So you can see when you're scrolling, the tab bar will automatically minimize and give you more spaces to your applications. You can use minimize behaviors on scrolling down or on scrolling up based on which directions your application is scrolling the content. So give you more spaces to the content. As I explained before, the whole idea about this liquid glass and this new design system is giving more spaces to your content. So make sure to use wisely. And next one is tab bar bottom accessory, right? So you can use this modifier to put the content in between your tab bars, right? Based on you scrolling, so it will be shrink down automatically, giving nice bouncing effects. So you don't want it to recreate anything. All you have to do is like use tab bar bottom accessory. But if you use these things, so make sure not to mix up with the existing tab bar. So you have to rewrite everything from the scratch, the tab bar controller, because the tab bar search and these modifiers not work with the existing tab bar. So you have to rewrite everything if you are using these things in your application. Next up, let's talk about like navigations and toolbars. So it's already, as we discussed, it's transparent and liquid glass buttons, and it's dynamic morphing in between views and giving more nice animations to your application. So all you have to do is you need to use the toolbar placements to segregate the buttons and the content. So make sure to use, it might not look really good on the screen, but you need to use the tab bar spacer to segregate the content, right? Do not mix everything together unless it has a specific action with it. If not, always try to use the tab bar group items and the tab bar spaces. If you use it, see, with the glasses, it gives you like more dynamic experience, and especially the content beneath it. Based on the content, your component looks will change to the glass. Also, if you have any specific requirement to change the color of your component, use tint instead of foreground style. If you put foreground style on glass, that glass effect will destroy. So you have to use the tint. And the reason why we need to use the tint is based on the content behind it, it will change the tint effect. It will change the color. It's not drastically change the color, but based on the content, looks the eye icons here, the informatic buttons, it's changed automatically based on the content underneath it. So always use tint instead of foreground color or the foreground style. That's really important. Okay, sometimes your application might have sort of a custom component instead of native system component. If you have like custom component, this is what are the APIs we get to change our applications to our component with the glass design compatibility. So there's a one called glass effects modifier. So you can create custom modifiers, custom component using glass effect, and also glass effect containers as well. And for the animations, we can use glass effect IDs. So it has a couple of different variants, which I'm going to demonstrate in next. So these glass effects, if you use this variant, it will update automatically based on your device color theme. So first thing is the clear variant. The clear variant is more light and giving more translucent look. And the identity enum is like hard code that glass effects, especially if you wanted to animate these things, you can use this modifier. And the regular glass is the most variant which we used across the component. These are the most common used variant, the regular version. It's giving you a more forced glass look with the blur and the light scattering effect. And also it has like interactive options as well. If you wanted to build a custom component, you can use this glass variant with the interactivity. So this is how it's look when you use this. Oops, the slides is going automatically. Yeah. So the glass effect, the regular versions, this one, and the clear versions, the next one. Right. So the clear version has more aesthetic look, but make sure use wisely depending on your content. If you have like vibrant color image behind it, it's giving you more aesthetic look when you use the clear variant. Also, you can use this clear variant with the interactive. So once you tap on that component, it will expand with the space. So when you are laying your component, make sure to give enough space to breathe that component without cluttering each other. Sometimes if you have like a stack pushing the content each other, when user tap into that one, that effect with looks more cluttered effect. So don't use that kind of a tightness in your layout. Make sure you are using interactivity, it has like dedicated space, give that space to the component. Also, you can use this with different kind of a component with the clipping effects. So in this case, I use capsule. So you can use the glass effect also with the clipping marks. Right? You can use the capsule, rectangle, or whatever the shape you wanted to clip this component. And sometimes if you wanted to use more items with the glass, don't use glass effects like this. Look, if your icons, your content behind it has like more vibrant colors going on, look what happens, the dark spot, the dark sides, that buttons give you like the dark background, and the other component give you a different background. That's the glass effect. So these kind of scenarios, make sure to use glass container. Put everything into the liquid glass container, then it's giving you the same aesthetic look that you expected. If you wanted to track the effects and how it works, how this animation works, instead of like regular names, regular transitions, you can use glass effects transition. And also the glass effect ID and the glass effect union. For the group component, to see the state changes, you can use glass effect union. For the individual component, you can use glass effect ID. So make sure you use wisely. When you have an animation, the complex animations, you can use glass effects union with the match geometry effects. So next thing is like, this is little new words for me as well, the concentric, right? So the Apple has sort of a aesthetic looks when they use their products. Everyone talk about their attention to detail and all those stuff. Right? That's come up with their corner radius and everything. Every product and everything look pretty much similar. So back in the days, like if we wanted to use a rounded rectangle, what we have to do is like we have to define the corner radius manually. Now instead of like hard coding corner radius, we can use concentric rectangle with the corners, giving you the concentric values with the minimum values defining. So with that one, your application will automatically adapt, whether it's running on iPad, whether it's running on iPhone, and the different variant. It giving you the standard corner radius, and that will be giving you more nicer looks than the hardcore in the corner radius. Instead of using concentric rectangle directly, you can also use the concentric rectangle with multiple clipping shapes. Before you have to manually clipping which area you wanted to round the corners, but now you can use different enum versions by passing concentric radius variations. Next thing is app icon and widget. Make sure to ask from your designer to give the at least 2 or 3 layer icons. So most of the time your designer will send you the PNG file 1020 by 1024, but make sure to now ask for a 2 or 3 layer icon. So you need to compile these icons to different variations. Use icon creator tool, icon composer tool for the icon creations, and make sure to use the light mode, dark mode, and the clear model as well. Because some of the users love to have that iOS 26 clear view to their home screen. So at that point, your icons will look really ugly if you're not passing proper variation. So make sure to use that as well. So the sweet spot is use 2 or 3 layer. Don't go beyond from the 3 layers. Make sure to have 2 or 3 layer. Don't stick to 1 layer. Don't go for beyond 3 layers. Stick to 2 or 3 layers to giving more depth and that effect to your icons as well. So you might have to require your existing applications to rebuild using icon compose. You might have to ask it from your designer to send the separated layers of the icon, right? All right, next up, optimizing. So how to optimize these things? So the first thing is use system component when possible, but sometimes it's not really possible, right? And make sure to limit your glass to essential interactive element. Don't put glass on non-interactive elements and use it really wisely based on your application context. And make sure to use design request compatibility to migration process until you complete all the testing and everything. And don't forget the accessibility as well. So make sure, try to run your application with accessibility settings like the reduce transparency. And if you reduce the transparency, your clear glass model, glass variant, change it to more frosted look, and it's giving you like the much more readability. And also you try to run with the increased contrast, then all the component will draw with the highlighted borders. And also try to run with the reduced motion version as well. And to run the frame rate, sometimes I run with the real device by testing promotions, how it looks and all. If you have like complex list view running down with that, try to check the frame rate and how it's giving you that. If you are like multiple component animating, so make sure to test the frame rate as well. So if the frame rate is going really less and down, so it's giving you a really bad experience to the users. And then, as I told you, like test with accessibility settings enabled and ensure text readability. And most of the biggest complaint that Apple got once they released these beta versions, people post a lot of screenshot of the notification center and the control center. People said like, we can't read the content in this with this design. People hate this design mostly with the initial developer betas. But now, I guess Apple slightly tweaked these things. And especially if your application, when you're using content with the fonts and the colors, make sure to use it, make sure to maintain the readability. And if you have like the glass content, if you really wanted to put the glass content, use some vibrant colors on the content glass. If you really, really want. But I highly suggest you to not to put the glass on the content, but if you have like specific case to use the glass content, make sure to use with the vibrant colors. And also avoid some differentiation using the colors. If you want to make some differentiations, use some specific techniques to differentiate the content and the component. For the animations, use symbol effects and the symbol transitions, and also the new, it's not new, iOS 18, like the magic transitions as well for the symbols and the SF symbol. And you can use elastic properties to make some bouncing effects for your custom component. For the native system components, will automatically come up with these effects. But if you wanted to have like the custom component, make sure to use that. So here's the adaptation roadmap. So first thing, you have to recompile with iOS 26 SDK, right? And then audit your screen one by one. Make sure to run full comprehensive test on your application UI, how it looks and all. Because I know like most of the testers are testing on the logic side, but you have to, because your designers complain about some sort of like the designs, right? So make sure to balance the designs and the logics as well. And then you need to replace some sort of like if you have like sort of custom component, you might have to use system component later. And then implement the custom glass material and the custom glass component effects to your component, and then make sure to test the accessibility and the performance. So once you're done with this roadmap, once you're done with these adaptations, you will be able to convert, migrate your applications completely on iOS 26 ready. But it will take some time, and Apple might giving us around 1 year around time, but don't know with the changes, upcoming changes. And apart from the Swift UI, it has UI kit versions as well, which is I couldn't try it out. And last not least, here's the common pitfall that every developer can mistakenly understand these glass effects and install it. The first thing is like glass on glass layering. Do not layering, as I tell a couple of times, do not layer glass on glass, and avoid using glass on main content, giving it more spaces and natural effects. And do not mix the color variant, do not mix the regular variant with the clear variant as well. So make sure to use its one variant. And do not ignore the accessibility settings, like most of the time we do, but do not ignore the accessibilities. And also stop overusing glasses, right? That's the main thing. Because when something new came up, we all excited, we all wanted to use it everywhere. So stop using it everywhere. And make sure to test on real device with a variant background and various settings. Especially if you have like the widgets, run on like the different background in your real device. Because it may not give you a real expectations if you misuse something like this. And for the key takeaways, whether you like it or not, this is the future. So we all have to adapt this. You know, it's really difficult to negotiate Apple and asking them to not to change like this kind of a design paradigm. But we do have that experience, right? So we changed from UI kit to Swift, and then so like Objective-C to Swift, and then Swift 1.2, and the 2.3 release break everything. So we all have that experience, and Apple knows like developers are adapting to that. So all we have to do is slowly take some time and make sure to adapt your applications. And if you have like any issues with sudden adaptations, so use this and increment update. And also performance also keep in that mind. And make sure to use custom component, like the native component, as much as you can. And for the special cases, use custom class. And last not least, with all those things, as I explained here, here's some example which I've done. through the application. This is like sort of a task management application. So I convert these applications using Glass effects, the menus and everything, components, menus, forms. I use a lot of components, like most of things are like system components, but some places here I didn't use Glass component in the main content. And the buttons I use Glass content. And for the tab bar, I use Glass, right? Multiple tab menus and all the stuff. And tab bar morphing effects, right? So from one-to-one morphing. So I use custom effects as well. And yeah, for the calendar component, this is like custom built calendar, but for the cards, I prefer not to use 3D effects and the Glass effects for the cards, background cards and all. I use typical stuff for that. And yeah, that's it. And I hope you get some insight and sort of some information about how to convert your existing applications to the iOS 26. Thank you so much.
Okay, so we probably have time for 1 or 2 questions.
Yeah.
So I am looking. By the way, thank you for reminding me, or not thank you, for reminding me iOS 7. For those who are old enough to remember, I was shocked in the audience. My first reaction back then was, oh, Windows Mobile.
Quick question about the backwards compatibility. So, for example, our app has icons on the navigation bar which really don't look good on Glass design. So our designers need to update them, but we still have to develop and support the previous version. So how does it work?
So basically, you always have to use the OS check, and until we completely migrate, you have to use the OS check versions. That's quite bad, but transition is always difficult. You know, like transition periods is always, it's not so good. It's happened in like real life also. Like the transition means like anyway bad movement for everyone. So imagine from one president to another president, transition's bad. One girlfriend to another girlfriend, transition's bad. So transition means like always giving some sort of like issues. It will take some time.
All right, do we have next? And in the meantime, Johannes has to be somewhere. Yeah, you have to get ready.
Just a short question. So
Yeah.
what
Probably
is
you
the
already know,
administrative?
but they just released the 26.1
Yeah.
that also include the clear and tinted version. For,
Yes.
Yeah. I didn't have the time to check that, but how does impact the clear and tinted and regular Glass
Very-
effect? You
yeah.
already did some experimentation on
Yeah,
it?
it's like this because Apple already changing this and fine-tuning these versions. But instead of they are releasing a new enums or new variant, they are just fine-tuning that versions. All you have to do is like use that versions. So it eventually with the iOS versions in future versions, it will be adapted to that.
So it's completely.
Yes, all you have to do is like you have to use that variant only.
Oh, perfect.
But it's coming with the operating system versions, and they slightly tweaking that.
Thanks.
Okay, one last question. So you didn't answer that. What is the administrative capital of Sri Lanka then?
What? Oh, that's administrative capital is Sri Jayawardhanapura Court. It's like long name.
Yeah, but there is a short name as well, right?
Okay.
Kotte.
Thank you.
Kotte.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. All right, thanks.